Hello, everyone. I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's Cluster over there.
Hello.
And today we are looking at Sonic the Hedgehog issue 55, published by IDW Publishing. So,
What's Sonic Prime on Netflix?
oh yeah, that's hopefully the last time we're going to be seeing that.
I mean, it's coming out in like 2 days, so
Yeah, or an eternity away from now because I will be having jury duty orientation tomorrow. Oh, um,
best of luck.
Thanks. Oh, but today we're looking at the comic here, which is the penultimate issue of the overpowered storyline that Evan Stanley, I guess, just kind of started picking up from the aftermath of the Battle for the Empire
Yeah,
story.
it's hard to call Overpowered a distinct storyline when it is smoothly transitioning from Battle for the Empire with I'm not actually clear if 51 was part of that or not, but that's anyway.
Yeah,
Um we do have a bit of housekeeping before we get into the review.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So let me just do something real quick and mention that last time we reviewed a main series Sonic comic issue, we mentioned went ahead and mentioned that there was some uncredited work in the comic. Freelancers on the comic had, or at least one had corroborated this uncredited work, but it remained uncredited, and when I reached out to the editors on Twitter, I received no response. So, there's no real resolution to this. Jonathan Dobbs did additional colors for issue 55 and 54,
54.
pardon
Yeah,
me.
not 55.
No, no, but additional colors for issue 54 and didn't get credited. And Reggie Graham got the credit for Jonathan Dobbs' work because that's how being the only credit for coloring works.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of it for now. If anything comes of it, it'll come. But right now, it's looking like that's it. So
Yeah.
I don't like that, but there's not
I'm
a
not
whole
a
lot we can
fan.
do.
Yeah.
So shall we take a look at this cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because as we like to say, the cover is part of the experience of a comic. Traditionally.
Some people will just pick up a comic on the strength of the cover.
Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah. And this cover by Aaron Hammerstrom with colors of Matt Herms is, I'm just going to say, not very strong.
Um. It's it's kind of odd where the covers on this issue in particular are where they don't actually seem to reflect this issue. They seem to reflect
Yeah.
last issue,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, they're sort of focusing on a part of Surge's arc that might come up next issue, did come up last issue, but isn't really coming up as strongly this issue, which just feels a bit weird.
It is a bit weird. But, yeah, we also have Metal chasing after Tails and Sonic, which just kind of, I guess, goes over a brief moment in the comic with
Yeah,
also Eggman and the Mech.
yeah. And Eggman and Surge are divided by Starline's toothpaste logo, which
Yeah.
it probably looks the best here because it's easy to not notice it because there's three characters in front of it. So,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Cluster. I'm just kind of my blessings that like the cover is this and not another cover in the history of Sonic comic covers where Sonic and Eggman are on the same team and it's like the unthinkable Sonic and Eggman
oh,
friends.
Eggman's crossing his fingers though. He doesn't really mean the team up. Oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of been done.
like at
It's
least
actually a bit funny.
twice.
It's a bit funny that we were talking about team ups last time we did a comic review when we were talking about
Yeah.
Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, and how weirdly they haven't teamed up as much as you might expect them have. But Sonic Eggman have actually teamed up a fair amount. Um,
Yes.
Um, so it's actually not very surprising to me when I see it. It's happened in multiple games. It's happened in multiple comics.
Hmm.
You know, sometimes their interests align.
Hmm. But yeah, the past the cover. If there's nothing else we want to talk about it with,
No,
so yeah, past the cover. We have the credits with so story by Evan Stanley, art by Adam Bryce Thomas, colors by Reggie Graham, letters by Sean Lee, and editors Riley Farmer and David Marriott.
yeah, all pretty typical names that we've seen a lot on this comic before. Reggie Graham does a lot of coloring, especially I think Reggie Graham colors Evans' art. I feel a fair amount.
Yes.
Adam Bryce Thomas, a pretty common artist, not my favorite, but like he's all right. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And then Sonley, Riley Farmer, David Marriott, they're on literally every issue of this series. If any of those credits change, it'll be noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
We
Past
have, of
that,
course,
yeah.
a story so far page just describing how we got to the situation where Surge and Kit are together again, basically.
We have the cast page, but it looks like dog shit. Um,
God, just either remove it, which, like, they didn't have it in Scrapnik Island, I want to say?
no, not even
Uh,
in the second issue.
yeah, and that's been working great. Keep doing that.
Rain Rudnick is here in chat. Hey y'all, I've been waiting for this one. Thanks for being patient. We finally got
Yeah.
around to doing it, so that's
Yeah, I
good.
guess should note we are half a week late on this one. I'll put that
Yeah,
on me. My health is you know,
yeah,
not great. So sometimes we miss streams because of my health.
yeah,
That's
and
life.
that's life, and it's just kind of a fact of the channel, and we're here now. So yeah, cast page still sucks. Then we have our first page.
Yeah. Moving into the comic itself, we open on Surge and Kit together with Kit having hooked Surge and the Dynamo Cades?
Yeah, yeah, I think.
Dynamo Cades up to the Egg Base Sigma?
Yeah,
Or Starline Base Sigma. Anyway, Starline's base he stole from Eggman is where they're at.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, he apparently has routed everything in the base to her,
Yeah,
uh, which then overloads the breaker, and a very sweaty and upset looking Surge reacts like a surprised puppy to that.
yeah. There's a lot of that in this issue. Um, they're on emergency power now.
Yeah. Surge is very much like on edge, not feeling very good, but trying to play it cool as
Yeah.
usual.
Uh huh. And she tells Kit that Sonic won't leave them alone as
Yeah,
long
so,
as they're not marching in lockstep with him, and they have to be ready.
yeah. With honestly, given the weirdly evangelical tone Sonic's been taking in recent issues, isn't I see where she's coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Kit suggests that they could run or hide, but Surge insists on the finality of this moment, saying that no, this is where it ends. It's their fault that they're here, and Surge and Kit are going to make them pay for it.
Hmm. That, there's only one issue left in this storyline,
Yeah, it's
Kit.
got
If you go and hide, we'll have to extend another issue.
yeah,
It's you gotta have a sense for pacing about this, bud.
yeah. We cut back to Sonic and Tails with Tails taking up just kind of like a dialogue narration box thing.
Yeah. Apparently, following some kind of readings, probably from Surge and the mess he's got going on
Yeah.
with powers and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And they arrive at Starline Base Sigma, which
I think
Tails,
that's what it's called. Yeah,
we'll just call it that. And Tails is like, an Eggman base? Wait, no. Look at the insignia.
and it's
And
toothpaste with 5 stars.
and I just feel like it would have been more realistic, if I may, if Sonic if they're just both just like, what is that? What is it like? Is it like Starline? Is it like I guess because it's star yeah I guess because the stars, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think that logo's actually sewn up anywhere outside of just Starline storylines, which have
Yeah.
never involved Sonic and Tails directly.
He's I think Starline's one of the only people on the planet who has seen his logo that he made for himself.
Yeah, because it's on his base. It was on his truck, so like all the characters in Bad Guys saw it.
Yeah.
Surgeon Kit saw it. So
Uh-huh.
like about eight people have seen that until Sonic and Tails.
Uh
Eggman hasn't even seen it yet because he's not here yet.
yeah. But Sonic remarks that the base is dark, dank, and foreboding, and if Surgeon Kit aren't in there, he'll eat his shoe.
Which really should be Surgeon Kit's cue to just get the heck out of there real fast.
Because
Because
then
that'd
he'd
be
eat his
very
shoe.
funny.
It'd be funny. It'd be
Oh,
so
that would be
funny.
great revenge.
Oh man, he'd be eating his shoe and be like, "I hate this. Isn't an edible thing."
Yeah. But before they can even embark into the base, Sonic is very surprised by being clotheslined from behind by Metal
Hmm.
Sonic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just very suddenly.
Tails calls out to
Uh,
Sonic and says he's coming. Then he runs into Eggman, or Eggman runs into him, just remarking that just metal. He didn't say metal could run off.
yeah, Eggman arrives in the Egg Walker, not confused with the Egg Walker. To be clear, the Sonic Adventure 2 machine called the Egg Walker, not the Sonic Adventure 1 machine called the Egg Walker. One of them has a space in it, I never remember which.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But he arrives yelling after Metal to get back, but then sees that Tails is here. Then he intuits that Metal must have ran off because Sonic was there. And then both Tails and Eggman rush inside with big trump, trump, trump sound effects
Yeah,
coming from Eggman's Egg Walker.
yeah, yeah. Which fans that know will recognize from Sonic Adventure 2.
Mm. Um, Next page, we just have an immediate high-speed battle, which is to say, a bunch of lines, and then two
Yeah,
characters about to clash.
gotta say, it didn't really work in issue 50 either. Um,
There's kind of a neat effect where Sonic has a blue line bouncing around, and then it's being sort of tailed and trailed by pink smoke, which has come
yeah,
from Metal Sonic's exhaust.
yeah.
But overall, it's just a bunch of lines, and then they are about to class, but then they don't class. It's
Yeah.
and then Metal hits Sonic with an elbow, hitting him into a container, and then
And
Tails is here trying to kick Metal.
and throughout this, we have dialogue exchange between Sonic and not Metal, because Metal doesn't talk in the dialogue exchange, so it's just Sonic talking at Metal.
Yeah.
He's good at talking at people in this comic. But
hmm
here we have yet more just running into the ground. The but what if you were good? I'm not giving up on you, Metal.
Yeah, and mentioning that he hesitated before attacking Bell, which uh,
And he's like,
I
"You want to talk about that?" to Metal, who has never once exhibited like speech here.
only when Neo Metal and like let's just never do that again.
Look, not yeah, but like it's weird for
Yeah.
him to be like, "Let's you want to talk about this thing specifically Metal while you can't talk," and just
I don't find this particularly compelling.
no. I just felt like bringing it up because
Yeah.
This keeps happening, and like, can we not just keep
There
teasing this thing that's not going to happen?
there's been a weird fixation with this comic on Metal Sonic and whether or not he's going to be a good guy, and I have no idea why.
Cause this is some insider knowledge that might surprise some of you. But Metal's not gonna go good because Metal is an enemy character in the video games, and Sega's not gonna like sign off on a permanent morality change on Metal.
And I mean, to just put a fine note on it, Metal Sonic is popular as an enemy of Sonic. He's a mechanical version of Sonic created by Dr. Eggman to match Sonic's speed. The entire point of his character doesn't really amount to much if he's on Sonic's side.
Mm-hmm.
You could try and recontextualize him, but it would be a lot harder, and he would not be nearly as marketable if he's not facing off against Sonic. And the easiest way to have him face off against Sonic is if he's working with Eggman.
Yeah. So there's that.
But yeah, because at the end of like the first storyline, Sonic let Metal go and was like, "Oh, maybe you'll be good." And then during Zombot, he was like, "Oh, why aren't you more like Zemerl, who was good?"
Mm-hmm.
Ignoring the fact, I guess, that Tails reprogrammed Zemerl in Zemerl's debut game, but you know.
Yeah, yeah. It makes more sense when it's Shard.
Yeah.
Just gonna say that line makes more sense when Gemerl is Shard. But
And then Zemerl isn't even acting like Sard in this comic.
yeah, not like the post Super Genesis Wave comics. But I digress.
After that kind of uninspired fighting scene, we then weirdly cut back to moments earlier,
Yeah.
where Eggman is very upset that Tails is a very fast boy, and he decides he's going to take a shortcut to catch up, and gets annoyed because the map he has from having owned this base doesn't match up because I guess Starline did some renovating.
Ooh, redecoration.
Yeah.
He's going to love this. He's going to love it. That's what Starlight
But
was saying when he was doing it.
Eggman is also tracking the Dynamocades and says, "Oh, that can't be right. How can it be right on top of?" And then he turns around and fires his gun into the rafters, and Surge, who we can see her eyes poking out of the darkness like like the cartoon character she is,
Yeah.
it just barely dodges the blast.
Yeah. Surge lands on the Eggwalker and informs the good doctor that she is not letting him off easy this time.
He responds by grabbing her by the hair and throwing her.
Yeah.
It's a moment that feels somewhat similar to the very uncomfortable time when he grabbed Starline and threw him, but is drawn with much less emphasis on the pain that
Yeah. It's more
Surge is
cartoony.
feeling.
It's more
Yeah.
cartoony, but like also it's this panel's weird. Maybe you can explain it to me, but like it's weird because like he seems to be throwing ahead of him, but Surge is like going. The lines make it look like she's going behind him, like blasting off again type. But like it might just be like that was where she was, and then she.
I'll be honest. I think the action on this is just very unclear because he grabs with his right hand. His right hand is behind him, so that hand that we see in the panel is the one that he threw her with. But that
like
doesn't make sense based on his body, which is clearly moving forward with his left arm going forward.
Yeah, which looks like he's following through on a throw.
Yeah, it's not very clear action. I mean, I wonder if maybe because it is very unclear, so it makes me wonder if maybe it had to be redrawn because it was maybe too aggressive.
It might have been that, yeah.
But regardless of what happened, it's not very clear, Axon, and then she's just kind of in between a bunch of egg pawns that are here now. They weren't.
Mhm.
He wasn't established to have egg pawns with him until this moment, but they're the type that have lances and shields.
Mhm.
Uh, he yells at them to hold her down, but then she uses the pink spike's power and impales all of them.
And then Surge questions if Eggman really thought that would stop her.
Yeah. Oh, right. I guess also, I remember this part. She does grab his gun and throw it away when she lands on the egg walker.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a gun that he threatened Amy with from Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's gone
Gun.
forever.
Yeah. So now he only has popping out of the egg walker a bazooka, is that maybe a grenade launcher? Just a gun that fires bullets, and a big old missile launcher with like the 50 billion missiles in a square cube kind of deal.
But yeah, he tells Surge that he only needed a moment to prepare one button press. And then all
Yeah,
the
and
stuff
then
comes out.
all those weapons I just described come out, but weirdly only fire rockets
Yes.
because firing bullets would be a bit much, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a bit of a moment I found odd when reading it where she dodges, I guess, the missiles by
Hmm.
sliding under the egg walker, and then he presses the jump button twice.
Yeah, so he starts
Uh,
hovering over her,
yeah, and then the exhaust starts to fry her.
and he tells her not to try to outwit him. He says, "Nah, don't try to outwit me, girl," which, sexism. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
just because she's just a girl, she can't outwit him.
Then she uses her laser eyes to break it
I am
in
enjoying the laser
some
eyes.
way.
I have been
Uh,
enjoying the laser eyes.
the way they look here reminds me of Omega beams
Yeah, I like
because they
them
like
best
come.
when,
Uh, you.
like last issue when they were just like an extension of her rage, and she was just like,
Yeah.
"Get back here!" And it's included in like the story so far page, and it's just Evan drew it really well.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure why they're drawn like Omega beams here. Um,
Anyway,
we then are treated to we're treated to a very unglamorous panel in silhouette of the Eggwalker having fallen and Eggman falling out. If it's not clear from the way I've been describing some of the art going on, I don't find it terribly impressive.
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same problems that plagued like the last time we had Adam Bryce Thomas's like the last major time he had his art in the comic, which was like I think issue 50.
Hmm.
It's just the action could be clearer, and it keeps not being as clear as it could be.
Yeah, and I mean it's really unfortunate because like I feel like with Evan we get a lot clearer action,
Yeah.
and there are times when I find it hard to follow along. Like comics is a difficult medium, action
Hmm.
isn't always going to be clear, but like by and large, I found it a lot easier to follow.
Yeah.
Whereas it just feels like there aren't enough panels to make me feel like I know what's happening.
Yeah. And yeah, we do have Evan doing line art next issue, so we are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Surge um grabs hold of the power source of this egg walker.
Which is
Um
a chaos drive for some reason or another.
yeah, she's just saying more. Need more. Yes. And then she squeezes the chaos drive until it bursts, and the juices go into
Into the wristband part
the,
of
the
the
juicy juices.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she needs to get her Gatorade.
Yeah, she
She has to
did.
fill up on electrolytes.
Yeah. Um. And while Eggman is trying not to be made into mincemeat, Surge is just arms limp at her side, just going, Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure why we're treating electricity like drugs.
yeah, because
I
he's
don't,
all
and
like
I
hooked on it and like needing
and I
even
don't
more.
I don't know why. I'm just gonna say I don't know why Surge has to be a junkie.
It's kind of uncomfortable for
I
me.
don't like it. I
Rain says
don't
in
like it.
Rain said, put a pin on that. Rain says in chat, with regards to Adam Bryce Thomas's action drawings, it feels more like those anime manga I used to see, where the art looks nice, but it feels like a screen cap of an animated show, whereas a manga or a comic is more deliberate with framing and action. I don't think I'm familiar with anime manga.
Um, so I believe what Rain is referring to is like literally comics that are just screen caps of things put together into a comic form.
Yeah,
Really more of a marketing tactic than an actual product. Very cynical.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, of course it's as Rain is saying, it ends up feeling a lot less cohesive because it was not actually intended to be a comic.
This, of course, was always intended to be a comic, so, huh. But yeah,
Um,
Eggman starts inputting a code.
yeah, Eggman has apparently backed up to a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will continue to just say the things that reflect how I am reading this comic art-wise.
Yeah,
He's apparently backed up to a wall, and he's putting strokes into a keypad, declaring that Starline may have put his name on it, but this is Eggman's. It's his base. And says, I'm sure he didn't know about my private access codes.
and then he gloatingly announces to Surge that this has been fun, but he's got a strategically placed escape hatch to catch. Ha ta ta.
Yes, and he is tiptoeing away like a dastardly villain in a cartoon, so
Yeah,
only to stop and sweat as his escape hatch doesn't open.
with Surge very comically being like, what are you doing?" and
Yeah.
and then we get a Starline's cameo in this comic.
Yeah, because Starline left a little gift behind for Eggman.
Hello, Doctor. You found my secret message. How exhilarating! Oh, I prepared this just for you.
We see Eggman sweating and tugging on his collar as he says, well, Starline?
And then Starline's message continues. I'm afraid your little cheat codes weren't as well hidden as you thought. This is my base, and I'll be making the rules. Your move.
Uh,
It's so fun. It's so fun. And Surge is very much prepared to annihilate Eggman in this moment. And we cut back to Sonic, Tails, and Metal with the yells of agony from Eggman as he says, "Stay back, you fiend!" to this rascal Surge.
yeah. Metal, of course, notices this yelling. And Sonic references how the last time he and Metal were sewing down, Eggman was in danger, and then Metal had to leave.
Yeah, that's relevant, right? Yeah.
And then Metal leaves again.
And
Tails exclaims, Sonic, if Surge is there, and trails off so that
Sonic's
Sonic can
like,
continue.
"Yup, like it or not, we gotta go too." And
Chase after Metal's very pink exhaust. I don't know why it's so pink, actually. It
yeah,
very stands out to me. It's very pink.
when we come back to Surge and Eggman, she is on him. She has saddled up on his belly and is like clutching where his neck would be.
I think she's grabbed him by the collar. His nose is in the way, so it's better. Yeah, I think see his red outfit a little bit in her hand. Yeah. And he is begging for his life. Trying to offer her a job.
And yeah.
It's a heck of a way to beg for mercy. It feels very Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also it works for Eggman.
It does. I like that. I like that. And then Surge remarks, "You genius types never know when to shut up, do you? Maybe you'll stop once I knock your teeth in." And
Though
then,
she definitely just has her hand open and electrified, like she's probably just gonna put it on his face and murder him.
only for Metal to charge in, with Surge managing to anticipate Metal and put her hand on his head to stop him, only to be taken by surprise by Eggman knocking her off of him in that moment.
Ah, oh, he is kicking her, isn't he?
A bit, it looks like.
Okay, he kicks her in the butt,
Hmm.
and she slides away and does a cool slide with her hand on the floor.
Only for her butt to be met with another foot. Sonic's this time. Surge's butt is
Yeah.
not safe anywhere in this comic.
Sonic stops her by the butt the same way you would normally stop like a soccer ball that was rolling if you were a cool guy.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird, kind of awkward for me.
It is weird. Like I
His,
get the idea, but it's like it just feels like it, now I'm just thinking about Surge's butt.
it's
I'm thinking way more about Surge's butt than I think I was supposed to.
yeah, and he just looks so smug about it, like yeah, I got my foot on your butt, and I feel like the proper response to this would be like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to, I mean, fuck.
But Surge ends up with one Sonic behind her, foot on her butt, and then Metal Sonic on the other side with a peeved Dr. Eggman. And she's continuing to be a sweaty fellow.
um, Eggman goes ahead and tells her like, oh, if there's any other unfounded boasts she'd like to blurt out, he's all ears. And for some reason, Metal is drawn very colored and drawn very detailed in this panel.
Yeah.
This is like a panel from an OVA.
Yeah, Metal is very faded. He's got a lot of he's got extra light effects on his eyes. His smoke is way more detailed than it is anywhere else in the comic.
Yeah, and he just looks more detailed than Eggman.
Eggman is also more detailed than he is normally in other panels, though.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's just the contrast and how very front on Metal is, while
yeah,
Eggman is looking over to like his left, kinda.
he's just like pushing up his glasses, but that also kind of looks awkward.
And Surge has since gotten up from the ground, and Sonic, I presume, had to begrudgingly remove his foot from Surge's butt.
Yeah.
And in Sonic remarks, "Don't make this any harder than it needs to be, Surge." And then Surge runs.
She says no and jumps up into, I guess, the many pipes that are in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Just
And
a network of pipes.
Sonic says, "See anything, Tails?"
Tails saying, nope, I think she's gone.
And then
And and then Surge jumps the gun here, deciding
Yeah.
that Sonic and Eggman are working together. When in fact, they're not working together until 2 pages from now, or 3. 3 pages from now, I think.
Yeah. Just getting ahead of the comics, just reading the script.
Yeah, so they're not working together yet, sirs. Right now, they just happen to both dislike you,
Yeah.
which is different. And honestly, you keep attacking everyone, so that's really more you than
We
them.
we get some monologuing from Surge as she says, "They're working together. It doesn't matter how strong I get, they'll find another way to hurt me. Hurt us." And then she
Which is it's interesting in that she's sort of extending internally, like she's including Kit.
in her us against the world feeling.
Yeah, and there was very much, I felt, a potential way of Surge sort of discarding Kit.
Yeah.
And it's definitely doesn't seem to be coming to pass, which I approve of.
I do too. But Surge, after kind of curling up, it looked like.
Yeah, she
Then
curled up
falls.
into the fetal position. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take from this, because she is back in the control room next on the next page, on the very next panel, falling on her face from somewhere and gasping as if she has just expended a lot of effort to run here.
It's weird. And then after Kit exclaims, Surge, just talking to herself, says, "I'm not enough. Never enough. Never."
Yeah, Kit remarks that he couldn't find her on the cameras and he didn't know what to do.
Surge doesn't say anything in the moment, but then reveals Eggman and Sonic are working together. The plan, it'll still work. It has to. Is everything ready?
And Kit, in reply, clenches his fists, opens his mouth real wide, and doesn't say anything. I don't know why he has a big open mouth in this. Maybe it's meant to be surprise at Sonic and Eggman working together.
Yeah, I think that was what was meant to be, but like
he just kind of looks like he's trying to be a cute fox.
I feel like if they had found some way to like just adjust the framing on the very next panel to include like, is everything ready from Surge there, it would have flowed better.
Yeah, or maybe if he looked more surprised and less kind of sad and like he wants you to give him food, but you're not giving him food.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
Anyway, Kit declares that he's locked down all other routes in the base, so they have nowhere else to go. So they're funneling everybody into a specific location for whatever their plan is.
Yeah. So, Sonic then... We come back to Sonic and the others again.
Yeah.
And, Sonic, makes a death threat saying, "Okay, Eggman, I'm gonna need an explanation or else I'm picking up where Surge left off." And I'm just saying. Where Surge left off was about to murder Eggman. We were just talking about that, so...
And Tails is really awkwardly posed with his elbows up and...
kind of about to poke the tip of Sonic's tail.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Why is he posed like this? Looks like he's flap his arms to try and fly. But that's not how you fly, Tails. You use your tails. That's why they call you Tails.
And
but Eggman is upset at the nerve of Sonic because Eggman is the victim here. You know, C stole my dynamo cades. It's a unique, extremely dangerous device. I'm only here to reclaim my property.
And Sonic remarks, "So that's what the fancy hat's all about."
To which Eggman replies, "It's not a hat."
Oh, I love it.
It's very fun.
Then Sonic calls timeout, saying, "Give me 2 seconds to consult with my associate."
And Eggman allows this, saying that he needs a breather anyway.
Yeah, it's a fun little series of panels where it's like Sonic is conspiratorially whispering to Tails, and Eggman's getting a drink.
Yeah, he's got like a water bottle that like, I think it's you squeeze it and it comes out the top in a stream.
Yeah.
So it's like he's not touching his lips at any point.
Yeah. One of those. I've had one of those. Yeah.
Not too super familiar from real life.
Yeah. And Sonic asks Tails' opinion, and Tails gives strategy advice, saying that, you know, they need to deal with Surge, and fighting Surge and Eggman in Metal is a major risk.
Yeah. And Sonic agrees, and you know, saying that Surge is the bigger priority, and also that Sonic could just accidentally break the dynamo cades rather than, you know, letting Eggman recover it unharmed.
And Sonic says, "All right, Eggman, we'll help you handle Surge, and you and Metal won't start anything till we're all out of this dump. Deal?"
We get a very big close-up of Eggman's glasses, where he says, "A truce, eh?" And then very aggressively extends his hand to Sink.
Yeah. Sonic and Eggman? Friends?
Yeah, Sonic fakes the hand, but also wags his other finger, saying he'll be watching Eggman.
And Eggman replies that he'll absolutely crush Sonic eventually.
Eventually, um, and everybody crowds around the Miles Electric, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because I guess Eggman didn't bring a backup. It was just the Egg Walker, and now he
Yeah.
doesn't have a map.
So they just kind of got to
So they
live with
need to use
that.
Tails as
And then Tails says that judging by his map, there's only one way that's open for them to go. And Sonic remarks, "Ooh, a trap! Sounds like fun."
and Tails is not so sure that a trap is fun. And Eggman has a pretty fun line
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
"If I'd known you were enjoying them, I wouldn't have made so many."
It's very fun. It's very fun. Sonic says, "Do you think she's
I
following us?" Hmm?
I it does kind of bug me a bit
Mm-hmm.
that Tails has a map,
Oh yeah.
a map that is apparently able to see which doors are open and closed.
Yeah.
How does Tails have that?
Like Eggman doesn't have the floor plan for this base that has changed since he was there, and I don't think Sonic and Tails have ever been here. So why would what?
How did Tails get a map? Like, I get that it's not something the comic is focusing on, but I don't know. It's the kind of thing that feels relevant in a comic that you should have some reason why the heroes are able to know what to do.
At least if you're gonna in the same comic bring up how the floor plan is different for the person who made the floor plan.
Yeah, but I'm also not sure if Eggman had the updated map or not. He
Yeah.
mentioned that it was changed while looking at the map, which might indicate that his map was also updated.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of thing of like that's not how technology works, and it bugs me. And sometimes I can let them go, but sometimes I notice it, and it's like that seems silly.
Mm-hmm. Sonic asks Eggman if he thinks Surge is following them.
With Eggman remarks that if she is, it's likely to attack you two first, less visibility. And if she has any sense, which is debatable, she knows Metal and I won't come to your aid.
And Sonic says, "Gee, this team up just gets better and better." And then
Yeah.
reacts to them arriving at the scene, going,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" Al-
So,
Also,
mm,
there's just bodies.
oh yeah, two of those test tubes definitely have something in them. Oh, that's creepy.
That is creepy. As Sonic and Tails and Eggman and Metal have stumbled on the lab where Surge and Kit were made.
Yeah. Tails picks up a couple of documents that are like sort of analyzing. It looks like both Sonic's abilities and the general cycle that he was referring to with his Project Remaster.
Ooh, on Comixology, I can zoom in and just read the text.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I can't.
Eggman causes damage. Sonic battles him. Sonic defeats him, but leaves Eggman to his own devices, which then leads, I assume, to Eggman rebuilds and then causes damage, and then Sonic battles him, etc., etc., etc.
Yep. And then there's a bunch more indistinct things. And is that Surge's turnaround? Like from her character sheet?
That is actually, I think. There's
I guess
also the
that's
concept sketches, or just
yeah,
some concept sketches anyway.
yeah. I guess those are included in there as Easter eggs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just
And
Sonic just repeats. He made them, like
yeah,
talking about Starline with Surgeon Kit, and then
and he has this like big socked expression with some. Maybe this will affect how he decides to deal with Surge in the next issue. Now that he's bothered to know anything about her before he, fucking proselytizes at her.
it's like you could have just asked. You could have
She
just
was
had
actually
any.
trying to tell him.
Yeah, she was very interested in telling him all of the things that he's now finding out about and being very interested in now that he actually knows.
Yeah, but Eggman goes up to the green test tube and starts just praising all of Starline's many achievements.
And causing Sonic to say, "If I didn't know better, I'd say you were impressed."
And he says, "Oh, I am. It's a remarkable achievement. Dr. Starline possessed one of the finest minds I've ever encountered." And Tails brings up all the ethical issues with what Starline has done. And also says, "And all he wanted was for you to recognize him. If you just told him that while he was alive, none of this would have happened." To which Eggman replies, "I know that, but I would never do such a thing." Which Tails takes issue with, saying, "You just did."
Yeah.
But Eggman clarifies, "Not at all. Admitting the skill of a bested enemy only proves my brilliance."
Which is a great line.
Yeah. Now, because Eggman has beaten Starline, he can say that Starline was the absolute best ever, because that just means that Eggman was even better.
Yeah, it reminds me of in Forces when he says that exceeding your calculations is just a mark of true genius. And Tails is like, well, no, if you calculated wrong, that's not.
Yeah.
Sonic.
Fun things you can do with Eggman. I think this one counts.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Sonic says, "I've heard enough. Let's just get this over with." And the lights turn on.
Well, they walk into a different room.
Mm.
A big, like, tube thing filled with a bunch more empty green bubble test tube capsules.
And then Sonic puts both hands on either side of his face and goes, "Whoop whoop!" But in seriousness, he says, "Hey, I know you're watching. We're here."
And Surge and Kit then, I guess, just step out from behind a test tube.
Mm-hmm. And then Sonic says, "Listen, I don't want to fight you guys. Hand over the doohickey and we can all walk away."
Surge and Kit share a glance, but then they get prepared to fight.
With Surge assuming Vegeta's fighting stance.
Yeah, you might be familiar with the one where he takes his two fingers and the thumb and he sort of makes a pincy and then puts the other hand behind him.
Yeah, saying, "Too bad, it's not up to you then."
While Kit, of course, assumes his creepy horror child pose of having his arms and legs just hang limply while he gets suspended in the air by water tentacles and his eyes glow.
And then everyone charges into more battle.
Yeah. So we end up on this just big full page art. Eggman is pointing, presumably telling Metal to rush forward. Metal is covered in red for some reason.
Is something going on in chat? Shield mode got turned on. All right.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Sonic and Surge are like faces up against each other.
Yeah. Okay.
And Tails is like roughing. It's just kind of a generically violence is going to happen, but like because there's so many characters, it just feels really cramped.
Yeah, and that leaves us with next time fight.
Yeah.
So yeah. And next issue has a cover that isn't really impressive, but whatever. That's the comic.
Oh God! Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that cover's not good. Oh, I
We've looked
forgot
at it
about that
before,
one.
yeah,
Yeah, but I
like
forgot about that one from when it was revealed a few
yeah, like a
whiles ago.
million years ago, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Not much in terms of Letter Squad because they did a creator interview with, for some reason, Aaron Hammerstrom.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, but I guess he hadn't gotten a creator corner yet.
Well, it's just weird because I feel like they've always done those when the creator is on the comic, right?
Yeah, and this time he was just on the cover.
Okay, he was on the cover. Okay, it feels weird because I'm pretty sure Aaron Hamstrom's done interiors,
Yeah, he has.
and it feels weird to not do a creator corner for him when he's doing the interiors.
I mean, if he was doing the interiors, I feel like we would have had a nicer time. But that's this issue.
Sir is, and something you might notice from this review as compared to most of the time when we're reviewing an Evan Stanley comic is that we had more criticisms.
Yeah, we did. Um, yeah, I wasn't sure what to think of it initially, and as I've sat with it, I think I've just kind of settled on, because there's good moments, and we pointed each of them out. Um,
Yeah, and so one problem I have with this is that overall, this comic is just kind of filling time in between last issue and next issue.
yeah,
Last issue had significant events. Next issue will literally end this storyline, so if it doesn't have significant events, there's a serious problem. Um, Whereas this kind of was just setting up for next time.
mm-hmm.
Sonic now knows what the readers have known for months now. Sonic and Eggman have a truce because I don't know.
Yeah, and we're this is one of those times where it really honestly feels like this issue would probably go down better if we were reading the overpowered storyline in hindsight with all the issues already out. This feels very much like a comic that would be much more enjoyable if right after reading it we would then move on to immediately reading issue 56.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it feels like setup for issue 56, so.
Yeah, it's it's got fun moments, and if we were able to just enjoy the fun moments and just kind of gloss over the stuff that's not so great by moving to the resolution of the storyline, it probably would hold up better. And but as of now, we are reading this as it's ongoing, and this issue didn't really hold up to that as well as Evan's other issues have.
Yeah, but there's also just. I don't want to gloss over um, the electricity chunky thing.
And I really appreciate that, and I really do want to just talk about that because that's been the main pain point for this comic with me. Like, just
Um, Leading up to this one, I hadn't actually gotten the vibe of
right,
what this comic is doing, seemingly. And it
yeah.
is only in the art, so I don't know if it was like in the script
Hmm.
to have this.
Like I guess for dialogue, it's mostly just Surge needing power as a way of protecting herself from those who would harm her. But
Yeah,
in the art, we're just seeing her being like, oh yeah, that's the stuff.
it's the art is treating her again like a junkie, like she's getting a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the way the story has been treating her in the issues leading up to this has been very much um, someone acting in desperation, someone who's afraid, someone who is reinforcing her powers and her abilities because she feels like if she doesn't become more powerful, if she doesn't gain more, then she'll be hurt or killed. Um,
Yeah.
and it just makes me feel very uncomfortable to have the art here recontextualize that in a way that I
Yeah.
think is really gross because of the way that like
Yeah.
people who have drug addictions are treated really terribly by society.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stigma that goes on, and it
Hmm.
feels like that stigma is being tapped into to make us dislike Surge, to make us see her as being weak or something. And of course, there's a whole thing of weakness being used to make people seem like they are bad. As
Yeah.
a disabled person, I don't care for that much.
Certainly not. No. And I I mean, I guess we'll see in next issue if that element is still there when Evan's doing the line art.
Yeah.
Um or if it'll just live and die on this random issue with Adam Bryce Thomas doing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like and in general just like Surge is just like kind of depicted as just this like a rabid dog just foaming at the mouth. And it just feels like it takes dignity from her that she was being granted as a victim previously.
Hmm.
And
And again, when you look at more the general story rather than the art and see her reactions and her cowering in the rafters and stuff, it does make me wonder how much of it is the artist, you know, putting a spin on things when it might have been depicted more tastefully under a different pen.
yeah, there's a lot we don't know about the behind the scenes. Like there's also editors and maybe they like had the idea. I don't know. I don't like to assume, but
Yeah,
as it
but
stands, it's here in the comic.
yeah, and I mean, I'm just gonna say it's happened before where in Evan issue, Evan has stated that things that happened in the art were not her intention.
Yeah, like that during the beginning of Trial by Fire, there was a background character who was a cat, and the inker went ahead and just kind of made the cat look like Garfield, and the color artist also joined in. And then people were like, "Wow, Evan, what about this Garfield you put in?" And she was like, "I didn't put that in."
And in the Chaotix one shot story, there was a background character that we talked about and we found very uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that some people were pointing out it being a reference or the defense of it. That reference was not what Evan was doing.
Yeah,
The artist saw the script, compared it to a character they knew, and drew them similarly to make a reference. Evan has apparently not even seen the show, I
yeah,
believe she stated.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just a really messy, weird thing.
Yeah, but like the writer does not necessarily get to actually have a say in what the art if the artist decides to take something in a direction that the writer didn't intend, there's not much that the writer can do about that. Particularly because their comics are made on a timeline.
Yeah,
So
I would just hope that like there would be adults in the room who could look at how Surge is being depicted and say
I
maybe
mean,
not.
an unfortunate thing is that it's usually adults that are pushing this narrative about junkies. So
Yeah, that's another thing, and like it felt very immediately and palpably uncomfortable to me, and it makes me uncomfortable that that was not the case for um the other people who worked on the comic.
yeah.
Because there's many people who see the comic during the line art stage, and
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, in general, this is like this is a awkward middle point between the parts that we have liked and including parts we like on its own, and then the resolution of the story, which I'm sure will be like really good, and we'll feel all satisfied by the end of it.
Mm. And like we are still kind of waiting on a resolution on how we're gonna talk about Sonic and
How
the
much
fact
of a
that he
dick he
didn't.
was.
He was an absolute asshole, an absolute terrible person to Surge.
Yeah,
Lording a supposed moral superiority over her, not listening to her, not acknowledging her as a person.
yeah.
And I'm really hoping that something gets resolved about that. That Sonic admits fault, or that just apologizes in some way.
Yeah, because like otherwise, I have no idea how that would get into the comic if not for Sonic learning his lesson and being sorry about it. Like I don't see how that would make its way into the comic with Sonic being so obviously and blatantly asshole-ish, unless we were going to have him later be like, "Fuck, I really fucked up. I'm sorry, Surge."
Hmm.
And like we got a bit of Sonic being sensitive to Kit in a past issue, and like in this issue we have like Sonic saying, like it or not, if Surge is there, we gotta go too. Like just which on some level to me when I was reading it this time, it felt like almost like taking responsibility for the mess that has been made.
Hmm.
But that could just be projection on my part.
I mean,
Um,
we'll have to see.
yeah, because this is only one issue left of the storyline
I
yeah.
I will say it's hard to predict the future. It's hard to say how things will go before they've happened, but if Sonic doesn't take some amount of culpability for what he said and how he treated Surge, it's gonna be real fucking hard for this comic to win me over for the resolution of this story.
Yeah, because so much of it is centered around what happened in issue 50 and how traumatizing it was, and yeah, like the aftermath of that big milestone issue that wasn't very fun at all.
Yeah, wasn't a very good comic.
No, it wasn't. It's one of the I'd say it's one of the worst Sonic comics they've ever put out. But yeah. So
Evan has done a lot, I think, to make this follow-up storyline, I guess, worthwhile. But I mean, it's funny. All throughout Imposter Syndrome, we kept talking about how like Ian needs to stick the landing. Ian needs to stick the landing, and he didn't.
he didn't know.
And it feels like that need to stick the landing has been now inherited by Evan, and now Evan is now in the position where C has to stick the landing for everything that Ian did that didn't stick its landing.
Which, as you bring it up, that's rough.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel particularly fair, and unfortunately, that's just kind of what Evan's been saddled with in this story is that Evan has the weight of imposter syndrome, the road to issue 50 itself, and everything, and not just her storyline, but everything that's come up to this, everything that's led to Surge and Kit and built to this. Evan is the one responsible for delivering on all of that now, it seems,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot, and like it honestly, if it doesn't work out, I will not put any insult on Evan's name for that because number one, she has to deliver on promises another writer made, basically,
Yeah.
and number two, it's so much, and there's two different writers involved, and
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So I work at a library,
mhm.
and we have what's known as like a campfire rule, which is like leave like wherever you come. I believe it's like when leave wherever you come better than how you found it. So
Mhm.
like if you come to a place and there was nothing else the previous coworker could do in that station, you just do your best to bring it to a better place where the next person who's there has it better off than you did at the start of the day. And
Mhm.
and in general, something my supervisor has emphasized to me many times is don't make more work for other people when you can do it yourself. Like you don't saddle your coworkers with just more work when you can just when it's doable, when you can do it. You can take care of this and not make it someone else's problem. And I think about that with this comic and like how it the comic was not left in a very good place at all.
Yeah.
Issue 50 really just kind of unraveled the good work that Evan and Ian himself had done, and then issue 51 just kind of spun its wheels before transitioning to Evan having to pick up the pieces in issue 52, and now we're here in issue 55, and Evan is still, in part, having to work with the pieces that Ian left her, and it's those pieces that are holding back the story's emotional resonance the most.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a really uncomfortable position where this comic really, really needs some resolution on how god awfully Sonic was written in issue 50. We're not even sure if we're going to get that resolution, and I have to
Yeah.
worry if there's going to be backlash and if it's going to just all fall on Evan if it doesn't fully pay off.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's that's the state of affairs.
As for this comic, it's hard to look at it as a single issue because even as we've been in like a storyline for all of Evan's issues, this one feels the least like it is a story on its own.
Yeah,
This is a this is a prelude, this is an interstitial, this is a bridge. This is not a story.
yeah.
And that's just what happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are times in writing, if I were to give someone writing advice, one of my pieces of advice would be sometimes you will write a boring scene,
Mm-hmm.
but just do it.
Yeah,
Because you have to have that scene. You have to have that scene that connects event A to event B, and sometimes you just need an A.1 that's not very interesting, but people will get through it. Maybe it has some neat parts in it that people will like, but doesn't really come together into anything. But they will forget the fact that it was boring when they get to part B. Just don't make it too long.
yeah, and yeah. So we're in this kind of awkward position where we have just kind of read probably the weakest issue that's had Evan's name on it since she began writing for the main series, and that's
Yeah.
in part because she has had so much success.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I will say, like, the thing is, I want to point out something that I was thinking of, and I'm glad I remembered to point it out.
hmm,
If this was a comic that Ian Flynn had written,
mhm.
we would probably be talking about how surprisingly good it is.
Yeah, yeah,
But for the standards that Evan Stanley has set herself, for how excellent her issues generally are, this one being just kind of fine feels like much more of a step down
yeah.
because Evan is the one writing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to point out that like I want to give her compliments and her props for having such a high standard generally that
Yeah.
this, which isn't a bad issue at
Mm-hmm.
all, it's just kind of underwhelming, but that this fee does feel like a step down from her usual standard, which is much higher.
Yeah, it's definitely. I very much want to avoid punishing her for being a better writer.
Yeah. You're not always going to put out your best work ever. I mean, that's just, I like to say you won't bat 100 every time.
Yeah, and like, and like, you know, all comic writers just have like issues where it's like we're in the middle of this and it's really dragging on. Or not
Yeah.
all, but like just a lot of really good writers that I really respect, like can be
I mean,
caught in like a yeah,
give any writer enough time, they're going to make an issue that is at this level. They're going to make an issue worse than this.
yeah,
Have anyone keep making something for long enough, they will make a
hmm
bad thing.
yeah, and like
It's just how it goes, you know? Law of averages. Not everything's going to be great.
and like the examples I was gonna point to was Dan Jurgens, legendary writer of Superman, yeah, for DC
Hmm.
Comics. We were reading his Action Comics series from 2016, and
Yeah, under the rebirth line.
yeah, and tell you what, y'all, tell you what. I kind of lost a bit of patience at a certain point because a story was really dragging on and was not wrapping up. And ultimately, it was a good story. It was a good story, had a great message, and it was just one of the good Superman comics I would recommend to people. But like, it just dragged on and it stalled, and in like the second last issue when it was like over and there was clearly like another issue to go, I was like, come on, man. But like
Hmm.
that happens sometimes, and ultimately I'm sure I'm confident since Evan has had such a amazing track record on this comic. I'm sure that once we get to issue 56, we're going to be glad we got there, and we're going to
Hmm.
be just satisfied with the conclusion. Right now, it's a it's a bit of an issue, but just kind of a not the best, but we're only like viewing it as that because Evan has had a ridiculous amount of success in this series. Like Chow Races and Batting Bases, some of the best Sonic comics ever. Trial Run, was that it? The Test Run, Test Run. Sorry,
Test run, yeah.
yeah, Test Run was so good.
Test run was so good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember actually, we weren't reviewing the comics at the time, but I remember when issue 3, I think, of Test Run was leading up to coming out. I was really worried about it.
yeah.
Um, I was really worried about how the story might go because I'm really invested in Belle's
Yeah.
story,
Hmm.
and that was the meeting of Belle and Eggman
Yeah.
for the first time in the comic, and I was really worried about how it might go, and then it was so fucking perfect.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
And Trial by Fire, incredible stuff.
that
And
was so good,
yeah,
so good.
it's, again, some of the best. And then we had the Chaotix hit the pavement. We had the initial lead up to issue 50, which was also excellent.
Yeah,
And I'm sure it's only going to get more praise as we get further and further from the road to issue 50 and issue 50, as people just realize this is a really good part of it, even though it was like the immediate lead up. It was really good,
yeah.
and like and various points of this overpowered storyline have been excellent from Evan, and so I just want to emphasize Evan is incredible. She is,
Hmm.
as
Evans
Custer
Family is
said,
a damn good writer.
as Cluster has said, she is the reason to read this comic.
Hmm.
And that has not changed since they first said that. And
Yeah.
so I'm still looking forward to next issue. Um, and I'm sure she'll do great. I certainly I appreciate her being on the team for this comic.
Hmm.
Anything else to go over, or you think that we're about wrapped up here?
I think that's about it for this issue. We're kind of just having to wait until next time to say much definitive about the story, and
Yeah.
since there wasn't that much that it was so much that happened here is really feels like it's going to be paid off next time.
Yeah.
So it's hard to talk about the setup for things without the delivery.
Yeah. Um, Rain Redneck says in chat, see y'all next week for Scrapnik 3. And it just so happens that as they sent that, I was quite literally just opening up, like, my browser on my phone just to look up if there was going, if we hadn't already had our Scrapnik issue for the month.
Hmm.
But yeah, apparently we do still have a Scrapnik issue before issue 56
Yeah, and is that scheduled to come out
on the
next Wednesday?
21st, it seems. Yeah, so that'll be coming out, and uh, we'll we'll make time for it. But
It is all holiday stuff, so
yeah,
I'm sure everyone will forgive us if there are delays in that particular review.
lots of holiday stuff going on. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Also, a bit more relevant, actually, is something that's on the cover of this issue.
oh yeah, we're probably gonna be talking about Sonic Prime pretty soon.
Yeah, so Sonic Prime is going to be debuting this Thursday on Netflix.
Yeah.
There have been some kind of unclear reports about exactly how much Sonic Prime there's going to be.
Yeah, how many episodes are gonna be?
Some sources have said that there's going to be 8, I think, with others implying that all 24 episodes of this first season are going to be happening.
Which I hope not.
Also, there has been some insistence in the terminology I've seen from official sources calling it the first season, which seems to imply that they have plans for more already. But we will see.
Yeah, yeah. And some people did get to see the first episode already because, for some ungodly reason, someone signed off on premiering the first episode on fucking Roblox, which just happy-go-luckily for everyone involved, immediately preceded a whistleblowing of horrible working conditions in the making of that game, which anyone who knows about
Hmm.
Roblox could have seen coming a mile away. But good on y'all for at whoever spearheaded this Roblox game happening. Good on y'all for just ignoring all the warning signs and letting that happen, and then not only doing that, but like tying the premiere of the first episode to this.
Yeah. Thankfully, no one seems too eager to talk about it. Probably because everyone that I know is an ethical person who does absolutely nothing to do with Roblox and all of its known exploitative practices. Let alone the fact that everyone's been talking about how the specific developer in charge of the Sonic Speed Simulator game has apparently also been very exploitative. So,
Yeah. So yeah.
when Thursday comes around, however much Sonic Prime is there, we will be taking a look at it with however much time we're going to take to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like the idea of having to rush through a 24
Yeah.
episode cartoon season just so that I don't see people talking about the finale before I've hit episode 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like even if it's only 7 or 8 episodes initially, that's still kind of
that's still a
pushing it.
lot.
That's still pushing it for
Um,
us.
I was really hoping that they would try a weekly thing of just putting an episode out every week, because then it could be a fun thing we could have reviewed week by week. But it feels like well, they're not doing that. They've announced that they're not doing that. So
So yeah.
yeah, as it stands, we will try to make some kind of stream where we talk about Sonic Prime and our feelings on it. It probably won't be a full-on review, but sort of just us talking about our general feelings.
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lot to review. Like we did a movie review, and even 8 episodes of a cartoon show is more than a movie.
Yeah.
So whether it's 8 or 24, we're not doing
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we like to talk about like individual parts, and we like to dig down and like really critique the story of things and individual parts of stories of things. Um, but where it comes to Sonic Prime, we probably won't do that because of just how much volume of content they're
Yeah.
gonna be doing.
It's something we're gonna have to figure out, but
Yeah. Um, I just want to set an expectation that, like, while we do want to talk about it and cover it, as it is a new Sonic thing, and we are people who like Sonic,
mhm.
we won't be covering it in any of the level of detail that we cover the comics in,
Yeah.
because the comics are nice enough to come out once and sometimes twice a month.
Yeah. But yeah. I think that about covers it.
Yeah. Um, when we'll be back will depend on things
Yeah.
and stuff, and how easy it is to watch Sonic Prime, and whether or not we have pressing thoughts about it. Because I mean, I will say, if this comic was more something I was jazzed about and energized about, we probably would have done this stream on Thursday.
Yeah.
Similar to how Scrapnik Island, we I think we were an entire week late on that one.
Yeah.
And we definitely had a lower opinion of that one than this comic, I think.
Certainly. Certainly.
But in a similar vein, because neither comic excited me to a great degree, I didn't have a lot of motivation, and I think that did affect, you know,
Yeah. I mean that
how quickly
happens.
we got it to do. But
Like sometimes it doesn't really grab us, and like, what can you do? Just
yeah,
eventually you get to it, and we did. So
yeah,
yeah.
and we managed to get to it before Sonic Prime has come, so we can talk about Sonic Prime upcoming, and yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yep. But for now, thank y'all for tuning in. We try to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays like today. Thursdays like a day after tomorrow.
Yeah,
Um,
I will say, don't necessarily expect a stream on Thursday because we might be watching a Sonic cartoon all day.
yeah. So
We might be doing our Sonic homework.
fucking Sonic homework. But and yeah. So definitely there's no promises on a Thursday stream, but yeah,
Yeah,
we try to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're watching from our, and please feel free to follow our Twitch channel.
yeah. If you're watching here live on Twitch, give us a follow. In our Twitch info, we have linked our YouTube VOD channel, which you can subscribe to, and you can go back and rewatch any of our previous reviews of comics. We do keep them all in a nice little playlist. There's a playlist specifically for our Sonic stuff,
Yeah.
so you can just look at everything we've reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, if you're on YouTube, hi.
Hi.
Feel free
Thanks
to
for the follow.
like,
Yeah.
give a comment. Feel free to comment and talk about what favorite parts of the comic you had, how you feel about our opinions. Try not to be rude, because I won't allow your comment if you're rude, because uh, rude people are a suck. So don't be that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's.
Um,
Yeah.
and of course, if you do want to try catching us live, if you like the stuff that we put out, you like watching these reviews on YouTube, in every of our VOD uploads in the description, there's a link to our Twitch channel, so you can go and follow us and get notified of when we go live.
Uh huh. Gosh, you got this covered.
Sometimes I'm paying attention.
Yeah. Just man, you just said all that so well.
But
Fuck.
yeah, now everything's been said, so it's about
Um.
time for us to sign off.
Yeah. Till next time. I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's close to over there.
Oh, is it? Fuck.
Fuck. Yeah. Bye.
Bye!